Hey, all right, here we go. Everybody, we are live. All right, man. So today has been absolute chaos, and I'm being joined today eventually by the rest of the crew from iMed Biomedical and also Bearded Biomed, Chase Torres. Chase, he's got fatherly priorities. I respect that. But it's just one of those things. I completely lost track. We have been trying to plan this for a long time. And joining me today is Mr. Adrian, who is technically running the show over there at iMed Biomedical. So, Adrian, can you please give us an introduction?
Yeah, definitely. Justin, thanks for having me on the show. I am the Director of Business Development for iMed Biomedical in Carrollton, Texas, a little suburb outside of Dallas, and fresh into the biomed sphere of work. And yeah, this is my first year with iMed. January will be my first full year with iMed, and just happy to be here.
And you're a veteran yourself, right, sir?
I am not actually.
Really? I always
Yeah.
thought I was gonna stand here and sing the Air Force song for you because I thought for sure that you were another, because the other guys are Army, and
Yes.
me being the Air Force guy, I was gonna stand here and try and insult all three of you at the same time.
Uh, awesome.
But yeah, so joining us also is Mr. Jake, and he's in there someplace. Jake, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you. Hey, man, Jake. Jake is the owner of iMed Biomedical, based out of Dallas, Texas, and we've been trying to plan this for a long time. When I say a long time, I mean like well over a year. I mean, Jake is one of the first people to actually recognize me as an actual entity, not just a biomed that's trying to do some sort of social media thing. And I've known Jake for years, and he's one of the first people that have supported me, and he's always been pushing me to kind of separate and do my own thing and actually be an independent entity as a business and treat this more like a business instead of like some weird hobby. But we finally did it today, Mr. Jake. And Jake, can you please go ahead and give us an intro?
Sure. Jake Powell with iMed Biomedical. I started it 9 years ago. I am an Army biomed, so it means I'm slightly better than Justin. But I was in Shepherd Air Force Base back in 2004, 2005, and I've been kind of doing biomed ever since. Worked on the civilian side for quite a while. I just didn't really like kind of the direction it was going as far as the customer service, the level of quality. I was kind of tired of people just accepting what the current level of okay was, and I kind of had some chips fall the right way, and I was able to start my own company and 9 years ago, and the rest is history. So next summer will actually be the big double digit for us, the first of 10. So
No kidding.
exciting.
I had no idea that you guys were doing it for that long. That's
Yeah.
wild. Well, I've
Yeah.
also seen you grow quite a bit, especially over the last several years, since COVID especially. I mean, you guys have grown exponentially, I think. I mean, because I remember when you first started out, you were still filling the first building, and then I know that you were expanding from there. So,
Yeah, that was actually our second one. Our first building we outgrew in 3.5 years, and we moved into there, which was like 4 times the space, and it was just empty. We had so many offices and rooms and everything that was vacant, but I was like, we're growing so fast, let's just do it, and let's just support the growth. And now we have 2 warehouses. So we have that building is basically full to the brim, and then we have another warehouse down the street that we do all of our X-ray and anesthesia stuff at. So yeah, so we're growing.
excellent. Well, guys, normally I start out the show by telling you guys what I'm kicking off. I'm using 21-year-old Porteño, and I just got through settling the kids down and everything. And by the way, right before this show, I completely forgot that I broke one of my overhead lights, and webcams do not like it if you don't have good lighting. They hate it. And so it's one of the things I'm very strict on, because your resolution, everything is going to be crippled if you don't have good lighting. So I drilled out, and I took a photo of it because I had to drill out the there's some rivets that hold together, the pull switch that's attached to the chain. So the chain snapped off inside the pull switch. So I had to drill out the 2 rivets, and then I drilled the 2 holes bigger to accept fasteners. And luckily, I have a whole bin full of fasteners back here. So I had some micro fasteners, and I threaded them through, and half of it's held in with a zip tie, and I packed it back in there, reloaded the spring, and mind you, I did that like 10 minutes before going live. So I was going to set up dual monitors so that I could maybe have a professional show this time. And it just didn't happen, guys. So, but anyway, cheers to you guys for joining, man.
Cheers. I have nothing.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's been one hell of a week, guys. This last week was the MD Expo down in Orlando. And Jake, you were down there, right?
No, I kind of backed out of it just because it was on Halloween. And, my kid is at that age where he still likes me, so I want to spend as much time with him.
It's true.
Well, funny story, like the first two years, maybe 3 years of his life, he didn't like me at all.
What?
Yeah. And then once he turned like 3 or 3 something, like he started liking me all of a sudden. So I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm going to take every moment of this. And so I have some friends that have older kids, and they're like, yeah, wait till they turn teenagers. You won't even exist. So I'm trying to make every moment of when he's around and all that stuff. So like today for a couple hours, we did the whole soccer thing and all that stuff. And
I get it, man. I get it. I went down there for the first day. Man, I got a story from down there. You never know some of the people you run into. I got a couple stories from MD Expo. It was a good show, though. It's always a good show in Florida, though. Always. Because Florida biomeds, and some of them are going to watch this, Florida biomeds are just something else, man. They know each other. They're a pretty happy group, and they like going out. Like, I had several parties, groups of people that went out to restaurants and stuff. They didn't know each other or anything, but they knew me. So I was just gathering up. I'm like, how many people you got? All right, how many people you got? Let's go. And we're doing the large Ubers and going down there and stuff. But yeah, some of those stories are good, and some of them maybe not so much. But it wasn't their fault. I mean, none of their fault. It was some other drama that was going on down there. But guys, it was still an excellent show. I only got halfway through the vendor hall. Halfway through. I mean, there's a lot of vendors there, but the problem is I flew back technically on the second day, and I shouldn't have done that. The plan was to come back and go trick-or-treating with my kids, and I had a delayed flight. So my flight, the flight that somebody scheduled for me, went from Orlando all the way up to Chicago. Oh, wow. Completely across the country, and then all the way back down to Houston. I don't even know how that happened. Because, I mean, you got to figure there's Atlanta, there's Dallas, there's even Austin. I mean, there's so many other airports that I could have flown to and then back to Houston. I don't know. What are these airlines thinking? But so, yeah, my flight was delayed. I completely missed trick-or-treating. I got in at like almost midnight at night. And, yeah, that was definitely not a good day for me. Not just because of that, but because of some other stuff. But again, it was nothing on the fault of the people down there, the Floridians. They were fantastic. But I did have a lot of people I wanted to meet down there, and that's why I didn't know if you guys had a booth or not, because I missed so much of the show. And I had several business meetings that might pan out to be very fruitful going forward for me and the Better Biomed project. But nonetheless, it was a pretty good show, and I look forward to the next time that we have another meetup, because the week before that I was up there in Dallas, and dang, that was pretty good. I went out with you guys to the North Texas Biomed Society, the HTMA, and that was a good party, man. I had a blast. So, what do you guys think about that? I really dig that format where we just basically met up at a pub. And, they had food and they had some prizes and stuff. But other than that, like, it was just a free-for-all for us to just walk around and talk. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. We're trying to do more stuff like that. I mean, it just kind of sucks on how big Texas is. We're just not really organized like some of the other organizations.
Yeah.
Colorado's really, really good. See, in California, 2 chapters are both really good. Even the one in Indianapolis, they're really good.
Yeah, that one's fun too.
IBS, like nobody even knows about it. When you go there and you see how they are, it's like, holy cow, these guys are networked. And just trying to get everybody here in North Dallas to do that. I mean, I've been kind of pseudo involved for over a decade, and it's been like the same thing for a long time, where everybody just kind of goes to see what the jobs are, and it's like, well, we need to do more than that. We need to be more professional driven, in the sense of like, yeah, that could be, an underlying thing that we do, but we need to also kind of make it focused on our professional development and bettering ourselves and all that other stuff. So that was kind of our first mixer that we've done since, I want to say pre-COVID, because 2019, we did a big thing at Texas Live. And then when COVID happened, it just basically everything went down, and we've been trying to rebuild it and circle the wagons ever since.
Right.
So we're trying to do a couple of those a year. We're just trying to get more people involved to show up, because, I mean, you never know who you're going to run into.
Yep.
Shamika Rains, over the past 5-6 years, I feel like we've just been missing each other, like barely, like every meeting, every hospital, every event, everything. We're finally able to run into each other. So, but no, it was fun. Glad you were able to come up.
Yeah, man. So, I was at work yesterday, and I was fuming mad because I don't remember if I told you, when I was going up there, my little Infinity rental car, it blew up its transmission. Well, that night I called it in before I went to the show, by the way. I called in, and Enterprise were going to come and pick up the car. I waited 3 hours. They said it was only going to take about an hour. I waited 3 hours. They still didn't show up. While I was at the mixer, I got a notice that says the call was completed. I got back to the hotel, and the car's still there. So the next day, I turned in the keys. I got an Uber to the airport, turned in the keys, got a switch over rental car. And then I told them where it was. It's still there. They didn't pick it up, yada, yada, yada. Handed them the keys. They said they'd take care of it. About a week and a half later, I got a call from Enterprise, and they said, Justin, where's the car? And I said, it's exactly where I told you it was, and it's still there, is it? And they said, well, yeah, apparently they never picked up. I said, no kidding, I told you that. But anyway, yesterday I got a bill. Yeah, I got a bill for $1,200 and some dollars. And I was reading through it, and it said like front headlight assembly, front fender, door. And I was like, what the heck? And so what happened is they say that the whole front, I don't even know how it would happen, because the car was parked first headlong into a parking spot towards a building. So there's no way it would have hit the headlight. There's no way. I mean, somebody would have had to like slam into it, maybe drunk or something. There's no way it would have happened. But they said that there's damage on the front of the car, and that it's my fault, and that it's my car until the car's turned over to them. And I said, it had a bad transmission. It wasn't driving anywhere. I gave you the keys. I submitted the work ticket to come pick it up, and it took you a week and a half to come pick it up. In what world is that my fault?
Anything could have happened while the car was parked there.
Right. That's just it. It could have been stripped. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The likelihood is probably the tow truck messed it up.
Yes. That is almost a certainty, because since it was parked towards a building in a parking spot, how did that front headlight get damaged? It's impossible, because it's facing a building. Even if you were to pull in, you'd hit the back light, not the front. So none of it made sense, but some people at my work, guys, I apologize in this stream. I'm a very high-strung person, and when I sense some fuckery going on out there, I get extremely pissed off. It could have been $100, not $1,200. It could have been $100, and I still would have been very upset, because I sense a scam. I really do, because the transmission was garbage. I'll tell you right now, it was garbage. So I think they're trying to collect some of their money. That's what I think, because there's no way that front headlight got damaged. Not even possible. But anyway, that was my yesterday. Adrian, you haven't been in this career field very long. I've seen you networking pretty good at that HTMA North Texas. What do you think about the group of people and your experience so far?
I think they're great. I mean, I got a first taste of it where you and I first met in Houston at MD Expo back in April of this year. And so then I didn't know what to expect, but having Jake around me and our fellow coworker Webb as well, kind of
Yep.
showing me the ropes. He knows a lot of people.
Yeah, he
He's
does.
pretty much just like you, right? And it's like, yeah, we'd walk around and I'd get introduced to all these people. No way I was going to remember everyone's name, but luckily I was able to, just kind of little by little, and then go to LinkedIn and kind of put a face to the name and that type of thing. So, thank goodness for LinkedIn and being able to make those connections as well, virtually and in person.
So I don't think you guys have covered it yet, but iMed, one of the things that they really stand on is the fact that they offer classes and training for plasma sterilizers, things that nobody else has done. These guys have kind of pioneered as a independent service organization. And it is it still your bread and butter, the plasma sterilizers?
Very much so, yeah.
Okay.
That's one of our cornerstones. We're really looking to kind of grow in even bigger into next year. It's hard to believe this year's almost over, but
Yeah.
that's one of the things we want to continue to grow in. We don't just do the Stera ads, we do the Stera stuff as well. So
Really?
we're getting more. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And we're getting more and more complete into the low temp game, and hopefully in the next couple of years we can try to build an actual huge training warehouse for steam sterilizers as well, where we can do training and so forth.
That's amazing. So, guys, Jake, iMed Biomedical, I'll leave a link in the video description. You can go ahead and check them out. They offer classes. And it's not like typical classes that you go to for other equipment. They send you home with the tools you need to do exactly what you practiced in the class. It's actually very unique. And the training facility, they have plenty of parts and stuff. They're very thorough on the instruction. So Jake offers classes on plasma sterilizers, so you can take charge instead of relying solely on the OEM. The OEM will they're just ridiculous on their prices. I've seen prices recently for the contracts. It's one of the most preventable contracts, I believe, especially if you have an older Sterad or plasma sterilizer. You might want to look into just getting trained yourself and take care of it yourself. Wasn't the 100, was that end of life? One of them was.
The 100S, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this year is like the last year they're making cassettes, which is a couple months.
Wow.
Yeah, you won't even be able to even run a cycle.
Now, I've talked with some other manufacturers, some pretty big ones, and I specifically mentioned those cassettes because it's 75% pure hydrogen peroxide. It's some high percentage, high enough that'll eat your skin.
Yeah, it's actually 59%.
Is it?
Yeah, and they're pretty smart on it because at 60% hydrogen peroxide is considered hazmat.
So you have to fill out the paperwork and everything for transport.
Yeah, so if they get
Nice.
it at 59%, then the machine will still operate, it will still do its job, but at the same time, it's a lot easier to transport, a lot less red tape you have to do to ship it. So
now, a lot of my viewers, they probably might not know what a plasma sterilizer is. It sounds like it's a hot fireball, but from my understanding, they take this little cassette of hydrogen peroxide, they suck a vacuum in the chamber, and there's like a needle that pierces the little capsule, right? And then just because of the vacuum, it sucks it out. And when it sucks it out, when any liquid goes into a vacuum, it turns into gas, right? Like instantly. And then there's like a coil in there. It's an antenna, right?
No, so actually you're on the right path. Basically, it starts off as a liquid.
Mm-hmm.
The whole system pumps down, it injects into the cell, pulls out the hydrogen peroxide. The vacuum basically carries the liquid into it.
Yep.
During that process, the liquid turns into a gas.
Okay.
And then as it heats the gas and continues to apply a vacuum, that gas turns to a plasma.
Right.
And then at that point, it uses an electrode to fire, to basically fire the plasma to ignite it.
To excite it.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, inside of it. And as it's igniting it, it's doing a couple different things. One, it's burning off all the toxic fumes and everything else inside of it. And during that process, it's also sterilizing equipment sub 140 degrees. So
right.
all your plastic instruments and everything else, it's able to sterilize it because of the environment that it's in, of the temperature and the vacuum and all that other stuff. It's able to sterilize it in a shorter period of time at a lower temperature. The problem is that the size, in order to get it right, it's not as big as some of the steam sterilizers out there. You put a whole cart full of stuff. Where this one, you're going to have to run several cycles.
Right. Right. I mean, you are size limited for the most part. And obviously, the larger the chamber, the longer it's going to have to, pump down, because it has to reach that ultra low vacuum. And I mean, obviously, the more hydrogen peroxide it's going to use as well for the larger the chamber. But so they're going to stop making those cassettes, which is wild. And that's one of the things that kind of brings me to the next point, guys, is the right to repair. But before I get to the right to repair, I mean, this is a very good point for right to repair. I'm not ready to segue to that yet because I'm still on the what's happening. And I want to let everybody know that tonight is time change, right? So all you poor biomeds out there that have to go in and change the time.
All people.
Yeah, we've done it. We've done it for years and years, man. So we get it.
Yep.
All your sterilizers, plasma sterilizers, all your defibs, your ECGs, your anesthesia machines. I know I'm missing a whole bunch of items, but all those units, you have to change the time because, especially nowadays, because more and more of these devices are being networked. Since they're being networked, the time has to be accurate. In other words, there's going to be a conflict, which is wild because back in the day, you used to, who cares if the anesthesia machine's got the correct time? We'll change it tomorrow. No, now it actually creates a conflict in your records. If they have, like, if you're at a trauma center and late at night they have a case or something, it creates some real problems if there's an hour difference. It's wild. But anyway,
I feel like I missed a lot of fun stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yes. All right, everybody. Joining us, Mr. Bearded Biomed. How you doing, sir?
Good. Listen to y'all just talking about all kinds of fun stuff. Plasma sterilizers, right to repair.
Yeah, we're not
change.
We're not quite into right to repair yet. I didn't segue there. I wanted to.
I was only like 5 minutes late, and y'all just hit all the juicy stuff.
Yeah, no. I just wanted to cover the first note. I have like a very sloppy notepad full of, goals, I guess.
Okay, so we're not Wild West like the first one.
Are you kidding me? This is the Wild West. My goals get down to like, what's your name? And then like after that, it's like open book. But
Jake, how's it going? Adrian, pleasure. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Just trying to survive the kid.
How?
He'll be 6 months in a week.
Oh man, that's fresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your first?
First and only.
Oh man. Okay. Well, good luck.
And for everybody that says, "Oh no, you should have another one," don't worry, I took care of that. Ain't happening.
So you're good to go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But please proceed with what you were talking about.
Well, but I was going to add, Justin, before we get off to another topic, we actually do have a START class happening in December. So just kind of want to throw that out. It's December 11th through the 15th over at iMed headquarters. Give us a call and we'll get you registered for your listeners if anyone's
excellent.
Listening.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and leave the class information and the website and the telephone number. We'll leave that in the video description and you can check it out. Because obviously sometimes it takes a little bit of time to put together a packet, justify. That's, Jake, that's something that, Jake and Chase, that's something that we should talk about. Because we have all had to justify training, right? And yes, I'm going way off topic, and that's exactly how this is going to go, especially as I get down on this 20-year-old realm. Guys, we have to justify training, but it's easy to justify it. So how do you guys suggest people put together a packet or do a cost analysis? How do you guys recommend that people, approach your boss if you want some training?
Well, I mean, the two main key things to focus on is mainly like after you get training, you guys can not only do first call, but you guys can take care of a lot of the user related errors instantly and not have to wait for a service tech to come out. The second thing is that the cost of the class is basically is less than half of a service repair call anyway. So, with just one service call, you're going to be able to almost have a complete ROI. And so, I mean, that right there is just, good enough justification to be able to push higher.
Yeah, you hit it on the head.
You're absolutely right. So, the thing is, when I approach something like that, it depends on how close you are and what your routine service. Sometimes you might not want to get it, first look. Maybe you have a good vendor who's very prompt, but most clinics and most hospitals are somewhat dislocated from where their service provider is located. And there's going to be a couple hours response time at best. Usually it's 24 hours to 48 hours. I've heard of worse than that. I've heard of 72 hours. That's wild. And as we found out during COVID, it was worse even yet. I mean, it was a week, 2 weeks. I mean, and logistics were a nightmare. Are you going to rely on that? I mean, because Jake, don't you guys do something when you enter into a contract with somebody? Because you guys also contract out service. So it's not just that you make people do it themselves. You guys, as a third party, you guys are one of the leading third parties for handling service on plasma sterilizers.
Yeah, we do everything from training all the way up to full service contracts. We even sell equipment. So like if they have the older unit and they want to upgrade to the newer one, we can help them with the capital purchase.
Excellent.
Well, but I mean, realistically, it comes down to whatever the facility's comfort level is. I mean, I'll be honest, pre-COVID, most OEMs were Johnny on the spot with field service. I mean, there's only a couple of them that were just kind of delayed. But ever since COVID, like, man, I know the ones up in Dallas for the ASP that it takes them almost 2 weeks to get to service calls.
Wow.
And and they live here.
Yeah.
And they're just so far backlogged. A lot of times the guy they have to bring up is from Houston up to Dallas to help out because they can't get to it.
That's amazing.
It's just it's terrible because what are you going to do? I mean, they didn't follow their contract. You're gonna bust their chops and say, hey, you didn't follow the contract. I'm going to cancel. No, you're going to still renew their contract, do everything that they say. You're at their beck and call for whatever it is they say. But what we do is we provide a degree of leverage to where if you're not happy with them, you can go with somebody else. So, and at the end of the day, why not save some money doing it?
That's right. And educate your people. It can be like a reward as well. If you have a technician who is actually showing some promise, empower them. Give them some more responsibility. I mean, shouldn't that be the goal of pretty much every biomed manager or supervisor? Is if your people can handle the workload, you should empower them and remove contracts, just in general, if you have the manpower. And as you remove contracts, now you justify, maybe a junior biomed. And that supports the tier system, You should always have a junior biomed that's being trained at some time. And moving your guys up and hiring new is how the system works. It's how it's supposed to happen.
I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, in a perfect world, that's what managers are doing. Is they're trying to find out what their current staffing skill level is. They're trying to find ways to make them better. A lot of the time is challenging them with newer equipment, bigger responsibilities, and that typically is like higher risk level things. But a lot of times that doesn't happen because they don't have those resources as far as training goes, or maybe even a competent person that can even step up into that role. But
Well,
my
take the third factor of stabilization of techs as well, because you gotta have people sticking around long enough to actually
Yeah.
get the training.
So that is actually, that's where I was going.
We will
And
cover that in just a moment, guys, because we're going to talk about staffing. Since I have multiple managers here on this live stream, we're going to talk about staffing because every single one of us have experienced some shocking behaviors by technicians. Shocking stuff that wouldn't happen 10 years ago.
We need a Home Alone soundbite.
Yeah, something.
Well, one of the things that I've seen recently is that people are leaving hospitals and companies is because they're not getting trained.
Yeah, you're
to
right.
do more stuff.
You're absolutely right.
And like we have a contract in Georgia that is for ventilators, and it's going to be going away. And I was sad because they've been a great customer, but we're losing the contract because they're training their biomeds in house to do those ventilators. And so I told them, I was like, man, I'm torn because one side it sucks. I don't want to lose you guys as a customer, but two, you guys are doing it the right way. You guys are going to training. You're getting the support. You're going to be doing all this stuff in house. But at the same time, just don't forget me because if you ever need help, we're here. But you're doing it the right way, and we want to help support that.
You know something? We've got people writing. I know you guys aren't reading the comments, so I'm going to interject.
I'm watching them.
Okay, yeah. So P West says typically aren't third parties often in conflict with OEMs to get part service and training? You are 200% correct.
Yep.
Right now, it's actually Jake has got some crazy stories with OEMs and how his company has been treated. And you know what the crazy thing is almost every third party I know that actually has some substance, at one point or another, OEMs rely on you for either buying extra parts or for you to go and service one of their
Getting
items.
dispatched by them.
Yeah. And then they play hard to get like later on. Like it's wild some of the stories that even Jake has that I've heard in the past. And that was a couple years ago, last time me and him talked about this stuff. But and let's see, I got another comment here about manpower is always teetering in the direction of not enough. Leadership doesn't understand staffing. Leadership is extremely challenging. We already kind of alluded to that the other hard part is the cultural change in the staff. All right, the staff, their mentality has changed. They don't respect a lot of things that they should be respecting. One of them is the interview. How many of you guys have had people just not even show up to interviews?
Actually, 2 weeks ago.
Who doesn't show up to an interview? I mean, now guys, I'm saying right here, between all of us here, we know most of this entire community. Between you, and me, we know most of our entire community. And the crazy thing is when you don't show up, you're burning the bridge. And we remember who you are. We remember.
Yeah, we specifically, I wish we had a blacklist for the entire profession.
I don't because the younger Jake would have been blacklisted over a decade ago. So I'm proof that you give somebody enough chances, they'll turn it around. So,
well, I wouldn't even call it a blacklist. I'd call it a
caution list.
Yeah, there you go. So,
I was a caution guy for sure, but
was
enough years went around, and I guess I grew up a little bit.
Yeah, you're pretty calm. Both of you guys are very calm compared to me. But sometimes there's a time not to be calm. I mean, when people aren't listening to you, when there's actually lives on the line, and
I am calm up to the point that it is negatively going to affect the client.
Right.
When you were putting a hospital, whatever your client base is, when you were putting them in down and out straits, or if you gave them wrong information or ineffective communication, I have a list of expectations of how I expect my technicians to roll. But that's where you cross the line with me. When there are extenuating circumstances where shit happens, and we have to adjust. But when when it hurts the client due to your negligence or your inability to take action or do the right thing, then I have a problem with you.
Yeah, there's
Other than that, I'm cool as cucumber.
hospitals are a very unique environment, and this is something that most people don't understand. Hospitals will sweep stuff under the rug in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. They will keep things quiet. There could be like malpractice, whatever. I've heard of people getting the wrong kidney taken out. Was that in the news? Nope. It just wasn't. But here, the nurse in charge told me, like, oh my gosh, they're all flipping out because they took out the wrong kidney. Was that in the news? Nope. So hospitals hush things faster than anything that you guys could imagine. But at the same time, there is a time to stand up and make yourself known. Now, one of the things I didn't realize, guys, is being on social media. Maybe there's too much ability here, right? I'm starting to think that because, like, let's say I make one comment about one person or one company. Holy cow, that goes way further than what I was expecting, right? It's just crazy.
Well, it's because of the platform you have.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, social media is like that just in general. Like, let's say a technician says, my manager is making me fix this or put this out, and he takes a photo of a device that's all boogered up. Whatever it is, it goes out on social media. Who knows where that stops, you know? That's social media in a nutshell. Like, once it's out there, you can't stop it. It's crazy.
I haven't seen too much of that out of our company in general, but there are, I'd say over the past year, I have seen certain people within our industry let more information fly that they probably should have kept behind doors. And, you know, if I was to give a couple names out, you guys would be like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that. And that's not how I would do business, but to each its own. There's a way to call something out and be tactile about it and professional. There's always a level of professionalism that I'm going to approach anything with.
I get you. Because
which is why you told me I choose my words carefully,
yes,
even when I'm out, you know, having a good time.
See, the thing is people remember, and this is a very small career field. When I said, like, between you, Jake, and myself, we know most of the industry, it's actually pretty true because it's not that big of an industry. And it's not gloating or anything. What it is the industry's that small that people really do. When we go to these events and stuff, you'll meet, like, people in some very powerful positions, and you'll shake their hands, maybe go out to dinner with them and stuff. It's the craziest thing. We're a very small community, and that's why it's so important, guys. If you are going to a job interview, at least show up or give them notice, like, sorry, I'm going to decline. Always be professional. Do not just not show up. Okay, what a nut who wouldn't show up or ghost you. And joining us in the comments is Jewel. And Ms. Jewel is a recruiter. She's actually been in the career field for a while. She's got a lot of experience. Matter of fact, Jewel, if I would have known that you'd be watching, I would have sent you an invite link because I'd love to hear your opinion on some things. But she says, technicians are using your job offer to get more money out of their current employer. What do you guys think about that? They're playing the game. What do you guys
Jake
think?
knows what I think about that.
No comment.
I don't care. More power to you. I mean, I will always fight for the technician to get paid their just dues, and even if they leave, I'm never going to have hard feelings about a technician leaving to go for better prospects. At the end of the day, do what's best for you, your family, your career. Now, I usually would err to the side of, if you're happy with your company, allow them the opportunity to make things better before you just up and leave. But, you know, that prerogative is different. That the old saying of loyalty is no longer within our field that you hear a lot of our senior folks say, there is some truth to it. Now, it's probably not as bad as maybe some people allude to it, but
it's very true. It's very true. I mean, who here gets, who gets like one of those Cadillac retirement plans? Like, you know, the people back in the 80s and 90s. No, I mean, that stuff, maybe if you get a state or federal job or something, I mean, but who gets that kind of package anymore? And I mean, so why would you be dedicated to somebody that, you know, when you might be able to do better? I'm with you, man. I don't blame them. But here's something that you guys can all probably relate to. People that are chasing money, your workload is going to commensurate with the amount of money that you are asking for. And you could quickly get in over your head. Very quickly. Because
how about the young techs that leave for maybe $1 raise?
oh, Jesus.
That drives me crazy, man.
They haven't heard of work-life balance. I mean, trust me, I would take a 5 to 10K pay cut if it meant I could have a better work-life balance. Easily.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like that's the lesson that we all have learned in life. You know, like, I mean, when I was younger and a knucklehead, I was chasing that dollar because I had a wife that had to, you know, make sure that we fed. I fed, but that's what I was doing. And then I got to a point where I was doing all this mandatory overtime and I didn't have work-life balance. And I was stressed out. I gained a ton of weight. I was just not good. And I finally reached a point where it's like, hey, simple is key in life. Like, you know, like just the simple things in life are the things you enjoy the most. And, you know, this high-end lifestyle that overtime can provide, you know, isn't worth it.
Am I the only one that's seeing Jake shimmy?
Yeah.
Okay, you too.
Like Harry Carey. But yeah, and so I think it's one of those things that, you know, it's that burnout is, we have to learn that in our professional career. You know, how do we balance that with work and our home life? You know, like Justin, I don't know how you do it. You got so many kids and
Jeez.
so many different jobs. And
You know, I was thinking today, and I actually feel really bad sometimes because even though, like, yeah, my home life could probably be a little bit better. You know, I'm very thankful for what I have and the people that are in my life. But today, I almost snapped today because, like, I have behind me, I have multiple projects that I have to do. This next week, I'm flying to Washington, D.C. for a whole new type of project that, you know, I didn't even know existed 2 weeks ago. And, you know, plus I still have this channel. I have like 2 or 3 videos here on my phone that I haven't even like uploaded. And I have to edit some of those videos and stuff. I mean, not to mention that, but I've got other commitments with the college. And I don't know. Today somebody like was bossing me around and I didn't like it. And I almost snapped and I had to take a step back. Because the thing is, like, I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. So it's not like I'm goofing around. Maybe my priorities need to be rearranged. But I mean, guys, it's not easy. But it's not easy running the business, guys. It's not easy at all. And Chase, it's not easy being a manager. I mean, managing and handling schedules of technicians as a third-party contractor. I mean, just third-party contractors trying to keep your customer happy. It's, for all of us, it's a nightmare. But we're at that stage in our lives where you're supposed to be a mentor, and at the same time, you're running some sort of show, right? And we all have to try and balance it. We all have young kids, every one of us.
yeah.
Work all day just to come home and do a different type of work.
That's right.
A rewarding work, but it's still work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of circling back to the loyalty for the older folks in the industry, you know, I feel like it is there at some places, but you definitely have to be very mature. I think that loyalty list, as far as like benefits, is very short. You know, so you really got to justify, like, is this really what I need or want in this time in my life, in your career? Because, you know, if you're able to somehow squeeze into a couple of hours and get your anesthesia PMs knocked out in a week, and you get done a little early, like, you take a little longer to do paperwork, like, is your manager going to bust your chops?
Yep.
Or are they going to just kind of like, hey, micromanage, you missed 45 minutes this week, but you clocked in and where's the productivity? And, you know, like, you've got to figure that stuff out. At the same time, like, somebody may be going through life events, like a newborn kid or a divorce or passing of a mother or father. And those are hard things. And as a manager, you've got to kind of give them some rope so that they can kind of deal and process with those life things. But at the same time, after a period of time, you got to be able to pull them back and say, hey, I get it, you're going through stuff, but tighten up your boots, man. Pull them up. We got to get back to it, you know. But that loyalty is not really there anymore because it's not really there from the people. So why is management going to do it? And I feel like, unfortunately, we've got to get back to that professional 50-50 rule, where if the person's showing 50%, we need to meet them the other half of the way. But at the same time, we've got to do, I think, leadership should meet halfway first. And if we see it from them, great. If you see 48 or 49%, back up. Like,
what do we say in the Army, Justin? Lead by example.
Fuck, I don't know. I was Air Force. Jeez.
No.
I thought you were Army, dude.
Are you kidding me?
No, I was Army. Hey, Justin,
You told me I could have been giving you crap for this the entire
Off we
time.
go into the wild blue yonder, flying high
Justin,
to the sun.
he said that's what we say. We don't do that. That's what we say.
Oh my gosh!
I guess I got brainwashed right then.
Adrian, as a civilian, what do you think about what's been going on? I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of the conflicts that Jake and Chase have explained. What do you think is going on with the younger people in this career field?
It's a whole different animal. I mean, I come from a generation of, work hard, play hard, right? And I think that's kind of taken an opposite effect now, where it's these kids, they want to work a little bit and then play a lot, and they want to get paid for it, and make money and work as less as they can. And it's just one of those things where, when I first joined iMed, we had to, do a little bit of cleanup, and then kind of rehire some folks that were more centric and able to do the job that we required them to do. And so we have a pretty good team now. I would say we have about the A team going on, but we still need to kind of just watch our employees to ensure that we're providing what we need to provide for them from a establishment, and then ensure that their work-life balance is relatively good, and just walk that thin line and ensure that that they're happy. And as long as they're doing the work that we need them to do, that's ultimately the ultimate goal for sure.
Do you guys do like surveys of your employees? Do you ever like sit down with them and just ask them like what's going on, like how you doing, what would you like? Like,
I wouldn't say it's a survey. I do a weekly one-on-one with all of my employees.
Really?
And I ask them that question.
Wow.
What is it I can do for you? I don't ask them if they're happy per se, but I just ask them kind of leading questions that'll get me that answer. But at the end of our discussion, it's like, is there anything that you need from me? Is there anything that, I can do for you at this time?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And are you a firm believer in like the open door policy? Like, people, even if you're, you have something to bitch about with like somebody else in there, like just come to me about it, because negative environments, they fester. And, it's one of those things. Maybe you can nip it in the bud before it really expands. I don't know if you guys have had to deal with that, but I know I have.
Yeah, I'm sure we all have for sure. I definitely am cognizant of that. I believe in the open door policy. In fact, I tell my guys, if you need to call me, text me, walk into my office, whatever, I'm available to you at any time.
Yeah. All my guys, they have my cell phone number, and I told them just call me. I don't care if it's the middle of the night. Just give me a call, because I've got 3 or 4 teams myself that are deployed around the state, sometimes around the country, and sometimes it sucks, but I would rather know about it before everybody else does. That way I can already start planning before, because if you let somebody else plan for you to try and deal with whatever is coming down the pipeline, it's going to be a problem. I'd rather just tell me about it so I can start working the numbers or something, you know. Just is what it is. Let's see. Jewel says, you have to have an open door policy, but always remind your team to follow the chain of command. Very important. Jewel, I have a strong feeling that you are a veteran. You also have
Army.
to. Oh yeah, that figures. You also have to train your team to understand adult relationships. You know something? Very good points. I shouldn't make any comments about chain of command. We'll just keep that off there because I won't comment on that.
So I kind of have a mixture of all, like Adrian, he was talking about his open door.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily have a structured weekly meeting with my techs, just because we don't actually have a shop that we can
That's
go
true.
to. We are 100% autonomous. We are all, for the most part, working on our own schedules, our own repairs, day in, day out. Being in the management position, I'm typically talking to them almost every day, if not every other day, just doing, hey, what's going on? What do you need? How's things going? A manager that finds out about stuff at the yearly performance review is not a good manager.
You're right.
I do wish industry as a whole, we had a little bit more accountability for managers to our technicians and not just do the yearly. That's one thing that I truly grasp from the military is the monthly sit down, how are things progressing, which I typically try to have those one-on-one conversations either in person or, I'll meet up with them at a site or something, or assist them with the repair or whatever.
That's a good point. That's a good one.
And I mean, if you, something as simple as productivity, why are they negative?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of automatically chastising them for not meeting, their requirements, troubleshoot the problem. We treat it as a medical device. Why is this occurring? Is it because they're having logistical issues? Do they not have the right gear to get the job done? Or is there personal issues? All management's going to be different, and just like the chat alluded, a lot of people that do leave, they leave because of their leadership.
It's true. Vast majority.
So
guys,
I don't know.
I have this rule. My number one rule in life, and that is whether or not you're marketing, whether or not you're leading people, whatever. My number one rule in life is people buy into what they relate to. So think about that. One of the things that you mentioned is you go and you might do their review in person while you're there working on equipment. They relate to you. You're in the same boat. If you are just sitting in a C-suite office but you're reviewing people that are like working down below, they don't relate to you. They're not going to be honest with you. It's just the same. If you are, one of the things I was talking about, marketing, people don't just relate to a print ad or anything. You have to buy into it by making it relatable. Earlier we talked about training. How do we make training relatable? Well, if you're talking about like your own growth, or you're talking about your own budget, that's how we make it relatable. You have to relate to something to buy into it. And that includes management styles. And you guys have some really interesting management styles. That's why this is a really good panel to be on this, because both you guys are very calm, very collected, but yet at the same time, both you guys have had problems with technicians. Not that I haven't, up and leaving, or, not showing up for interviews. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I mean, this is wild stuff. I mean, and it has gotten worse over the last 2 years, easily.
One of the greatest things that I was told by some of my mentors in the Army, and just even now, and it holds true all the way through it, is as a leader, as a mentor, as a manager, you have to set them up for success to be as successful, if not more successful than you. If I'm not doing that for my technicians, then I have no right to hold the obligations that I put forth on them.
That is a good point.
And while I am extremely calm with my technicians, they know that I have a bare minimum layer of expectation, and I will go above and beyond for them to even help them get that expectation met. And if at some point that's still not met, then that's when we got to go to the next level, which fortunately the new guy, most of my team's new now. A lot of our senior techs have moved on, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Which I have no problem. I love hiring new grads and building them up from the bottom, because you're literally training and mentoring the next generation.
Right.
So this goes into what we were talking about with instilling that culture. Now that all the senior technicians are gone, I have a direct impact on what the culture is for my team in Dallas.
That's, Chase works for SPBS, a third-party contractor, who's actually growing as a company. And
oh, yeah.
Chase is going to be growing himself, coming up very soon. So not to segue into something else. I mean, trust me, there's something I was going to get into that was really deep there. But so one of the things I wanted to talk about is right to repair, because I do believe that I have the essential people here for that. And one of the things about right to repair, something that nobody talks about, is certain things that might be under patent. Let's say for plasma sterilizers, the capsules themselves might be patented. So you can't create them. But when the OEM decides to stop creating the consumable, the device is now useless. So it's just planned obsolescence if you think about it. And what if when somebody features an end-of-life letter, all patents that are related to that device now become public? I mean, think about it. There's a lot of things like consumables and stuff that the OEMs completely control, and it's gotten worse over the last 5 to 10 years. And you guys have all seen it, where they will just stop creating a consumable, and now an entire fleet of equipment is completely useless. So I mean,
luckily there have been some companies out there that are remanufacturing some of this stuff, but not the key stuff that we need remanufactured.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Honestly, that could be a game changer if that was negotiated, or that idea of release of patents to where free game, here you go, have at it. Jake, sorry to cut you off, sir.
No, you're good. And honestly, a lot of manufacturers, they already have a budget established to keep maintaining and renewing their patents, copyrights, trademarks, just so they can keep it on a shelf so nobody else can use it or touch it later on.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, Baxter, I think, still has patents on the Baxter colleague pump that are still sitting on the shelf.
God.
Wow.
Like, those things could be in the bottom of the ocean. And
I don't see those anymore.
I see them on TV shows.
Yeah. You're right.
And I'm like, yep, they're dead.
Yeah.
My wife hates that, dude. Every time we're in a hospital on a TV show or a movie, I'm like, I worked on those.
Yeah.
I have a customer that has that right now. She's like, I don't care.
I think every single one of us.
They do that. The manufacturers do that on purpose, though. Because they have some type of intellectual property value associated to them. Right. So whenever they do value assessments of a company for a merger or a buyout or whatever, those patents and intellectual property actually go into the purchase price of whatever it is they're selling. But I do love the idea that, if it's end of life, you're not going to support it anymore, then you should open up the patents and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the V60 is just coming off of his end of life this week.
Yeah.
Coming up.
So many places got them.
It's so crazy. It's just like these things are everywhere. But I mean, like China, for example, this is probably not a good example, but China, every 20 years, all their big buildings, they tear them down and rebuild them.
Yeah.
Every 20 years. And their thought process behind that is that 20 years ago when we built this building and today, the safety standards are different, technology's better, everything's better. We need to make sure that we tear that down and we build with the newer technology, the newer safety standards, newer quality materials, all that stuff. It sucks because they're losing a lot of history and tradition and things like that, but it's great for the economy. And
It's
great
also
for
communism, and they're just, faking their gross domestic product at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Yeah, but some of the shit they're building is historic in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh, guys,
It's crazy, man.
So this week, since we're still kind of in the what's happening, there was a level 1 recall. You guys aware of anything from Olympus that has been recalled this week? No? Insufflators, the UHI-4, it belongs to the 190 series video towers. There is a class 1 recall on those. It's going over the next week to 2 weeks. So just so you guys know, if you have customers that have them, and I guarantee you do, it's a cease and desist. Like, quit using them. It's a level 1 recall. People have died. Look it up. Look it up. So,
what manufacturer is this?
That's Olympus. The Olympus 190 series video towers are...
Okay. Yeah, most of my clients, they're striker heavy.
Yeah.
And all the Olympus shit they got's like old as balls.
Well, Dallas has got a lot of Olympus shit. And, just you guys should be aware of that. Always check your recalls, all right? And that's going to hit a lot of people pretty hard. But yeah, for Right to Repair, it's funny that I've got you guys on here because each of you has been affected. Chase is a third-party ISO, and ISOs, we do not have access to materials. We don't have access to training, but yet a lot of companies, a lot of OEMs rely on third parties. They will contract us out to help them out with their own contracts. It's insane. It's insane, this amount of stuff that I found out over the last couple of years fighting for Right to Repair.
They don't got the manpower.
No, they don't.
Period. Especially at Texas. It happens all the time. Texas is so large. A lot of the critical access areas that nobody's going to be stationed at, they're not running those.
One of the larger medical equipment companies, starts with iMed. One of the largest medical equipment companies, apparently when you ship products to go and get PM'd over to Florida, they contract out the PMs to a third party. And the reason I found out is because one of the guys I work with, a very smart gentleman who knows a lot of ladies, he knows a Vietnamese girl who works for this company, and she handles like forwarding stuff over to the third party company to do. And this is a big company. Matter of fact, I think it's the biggest. And when you ship stuff to them to get PM'd, they locally outsource it to a trusted source. And the fact of the matter is that's a third party. So even though it's a trusted source, it's still a third party. I mean, automotive has trusted sources. Dealerships are independent entities, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think Philips did the same thing with, they had massive recalls over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
They outsourced all their field service to a third party to go do all the software updates and recalls and repairs. I mean, but for some reason it's okay for Philips to do it, but not other companies.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I'm going to have some people on in a live stream coming up in probably the next couple weeks. Some people that have much, much more information on Philips and some of the stuff going on. The medical imaging community has just been shaken to the core over the last year. And not just the medical imaging company, biomed company too, because Philips has just been thrown under the bus multiple times. Corruption and hiding information. People have been hurt and killed. It's just absolutely crazy, the amount of stuff that's gone on with Philips. And I looked at their stock price, and I'm glad I don't own stock in their company, to be honest. So Philips is just one of those companies, but they're happy to sue. So Philips, if you see this and you want to sue me, I don't have much, so don't sue me, please. Oh, guys. So I wanted to change.
So we can or cannot call out OEMs for obvious stuff.
I would say, if there's a recall or something and you have the documentation in front of you, as a point of information, I would let you know that, yes, I would read the recall verbatim and don't assume anything, because any assumptions could be open to litigation.
Well, let me give you a quick example. Let's say a large OEM decides they want to charge you for tech support.
Okay. I know a lot
Even
of them, they'll hang
and
up
they
the
go
phone if
back
you
and
don't have a PO.
Well, if you already have an account and you're purchasing parts of them, you're calling on behalf of the client, I don't see why we need to be charged for tech support. Period.
I see it and I don't see it. From a business perspective, I see it because
Now, maybe if you're actually asking them to help you diagnose an issue, go through schematics, something like that. But if you're calling to get a fucking part number.
Yeah. No, that's garbage, by the way. That I agree. And that is absolute garbage, because a lot of part numbers
happened to one of my techs this week.
Part numbers
they just
change.
wanted a part number. They knew what the problem was.
Yeah. So I've because I wanted to get YouTube videos correct, I have called OEMs to know the technical name for a type of pumping mechanism. And she wanted to know who I work for. And I said, I don't work for anybody. I'm an independent entity. I do YouTube. And she says, so you're a third-party company? I said, yes. And she hung up the phone on me. That really happened.
You're not a TikTok influencer, so they don't care.
Yeah, I wasn't. I got to work on my dancing game before I can do that.
Dude, that's not what TikTok is anymore, man.
Come on. Yes, it is. It just is.
All right.
Okay.
I think we found a button on Justin.
It's true.
I've been on TikTok for the past year as Bearded Biomed, and I post show clips.
You can probably dance, right?
Hell no.
Come on. Chase, you're a Latin. You can dance. Come on, man.
I mean, I can do salsa and the bachata, but that's about it.
Yeah, you got me.
Maybe a two-step.
Oh, let's see. Hello, a lot of great info. Thoughts on BME degreed postgrads taking on BMET positions? I'd like more information on that. Thoughts on BME degreed postgrads taking on BMET 1 position? Okay, how about this? If you have a degree, you should be at the bare basics just like anybody else. I know so many people with degrees, and they're absolutely useless as biomeds. So just because you have a degree doesn't mean that you should be a Biomed 1, Biomed 2. I know people that have master's degrees who are useless as biomeds.
I have an electrical engineering or mechanical engineering degree, and you stick them in front of a patient monitor, and they look lost.
Everybody has to go through the suck. So the suck is like the long drawn out learning process. It sucks, right? You're going to do jobs that nobody else wants to do. So just because you have a degree and somebody does have a degree, the guy without a degree that has been doing the job for 20 years is going to be training.
Degrees don't freaking matter, dude.
No,
I was
don't.
8 years biomed in the military. I got out. I had a full year of just getting my ass handed to me and trying to figure shit out again on the civilian side.
It's true.
And it humbled me quickly. And that was with a degree already and biomed military training. Doesn't matter. Everybody has to go through the reacclimation of learning stuff.
Yep.
The people that think just because they got a degree, they're going to hit the ground running and be the best fucking technician ever. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And to be honest, if we have to invest resources into your training to make you more effective as a technician, yes, you should start out at Biomed 1. Guaranteed. So if you think about it, Biomed is kind of like, it should be like a journeyman
box
system.
of chocolates?
Yeah, no. No.
You never know what you're going to get.
We should be like a journeyman system. And if you want to get into this career field, since we don't have a real licensure, we should have like a journeyman system. Whereas you start out, the Air Force has it. The Air Force
Yeah.
Yeah, like you guys know.
Test for promotion. No, that is the one thing
No,
that
we
y'all have set up in the Air Force is better.
We have level
than all
1,
the other ones.
level 3, level 7. So level 1 is you're in training. When you graduate from the schoolhouse, now you're level 3. And there's a timeline associated with that too. So you can't just like burn through them. So level 3 and then level 5 and then level 7. Level 3 is you're just like a Biomed 1. You're absolutely useless. You haven't been trained on anything. You have like core criteria. Once you get them checked off, now you are considered a level 5. Level 5 means that you can operate without supervision, which is technically like a Biomed 2. And then after a while, you'll train. You go to Airman Leadership School, which you guys have like BNOC, ANOC and BNOC. You get leadership training plus you test, and then you will be a 7 level. 7 level is when you are, like a Biomed 3. What I consider a Biomed 3. You lead people and you run part of the program. But it's kind of like a journeyman system, which I have always advocated for.
Okay, but let's be real. How would we go? Oh, go ahead, Jake. I'll ask this question
So
after.
I don't know. This is actually something I'm trying to look into. Apparently, Amy has new BMED standards where there's 5 levels of BMED.
Really?
I don't know what they are. I'm trying to go on their store to find where that is so I can download and read it. But
You got to have a credit card, probably.
I'd be curious on how that 85 BMEDs relate to your Air Force skill tree as well.
Now you just gave me a bunch of research that I'm gonna have to do tonight. Gosh darn it, guys!
Well, the good thing is I don't see a case of craft beer behind you, so you should be able to do it.
No, I've got 21-year-old rum in front of me. That's the problem.
I'm very curious if there is 5 levels. Which if it's through Amy, I'm gonna guess you probably have to have all their certifications to be at level 5.
I don't know. I'm really kind of curious because I'm not against certification. A lot of people, I've had people call me out, guys. Oh my gosh, I had somebody call me out at MD Expo in a bar. Like I've got some crazy. I've got some crazy stories, man. What the hell? I've had people like I give a speech in front of like an entire group of people, and then afterwards somebody comes up and like wants to accuse me of being anti accreditation and stuff. And I was like, guys, that's not it. I believe in credentials. I do. The thing is it just never benefited me, and I'm very open about that. It just didn't. I mean,
they're being utilized in a weird way, though.
Yeah,
because let's say in an ideal world, how would we go about actually we can advocate for a journeyman system or a like electricians and plumbers have. I think our industry, actually our profession, needs to go that route to where we are certified within our state or whatever, as biomeds to work. These certifications could be rolled into that. Whatever. Let's say if we were to advocate for that, how would that actually get implemented? Because wouldn't that be an FDA thing?
Well, supposedly California did implement that.
Really?
Yeah.
California implements shit without any people knowing. It's in the middle of the night.
Without even planning about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't buy anything without Prop 79.
Yeah,
whatever,
all it took
65.
is some politician who knows nothing about it, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll sign off on that."
But no, California, in all seriousness, does have like some kind of accreditation, and you have to have that in order to have that job title in a hospital. I know some managers, I won't say who in California, but they actually got rid of some people, bad staff, by using that loophole in the state law and saying,
Really?
"Hey, we need to fire this guy because of this." And so, yeah, that's how he's able to get rid of some bad apples.
I mean, there are a lot of companies that only hire like certified biomeds and stuff, and I get it because it makes you qualify for new contracts and stuff, right? There's a lot of things that
it gives you a level of prestige, like
that's
for
right.
instance, a hospital that's Joint Commission accredited. Yeah, as opposed to somebody that's just like doing a state survey. It just adds to the prestige of it. I've known technicians that have CBETs that aren't as good as technicians that don't have anything at all. No, they got trained for nothing. I wish there was a way that we could take the certification system and adopt it to where it can elevate you through your career, but not necessarily. I feel like it stipends people from actually moving up to what their capabilities actually are. I know a technician that he can damn near diagnose anything, and he has multiple specialties, but he is only listed as a Tech 2, and they will not promote him unless he gets a CBET.
So I would be a Tech 2.
Yeah, which we know damn near is you're not.
Well, I mean,
So-
some days.
No, I'm sorry, you're not.
So you guys are actually doing what, like a problem that I see in the system is that while we're so seasoned into the field that we aren't going to really support that change for the younger generation because it doesn't embrace us. Like, I think we need to have more people of our tenure in the degree that even though it doesn't impact us, it won't help us, it won't do anything for us, we need to also be advocates for implementing the system and being active with it.
I mean, I'm going for my certifications. I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the CHTM last year. I'm planning on taking the CBET.
I got no reason to do it. I mean, period.
I got my bachelor's just because I wanted to. I'm probably eventually going to get my master's. I probably still want to go after my PMP cert. None of
That's
this
great,
required for my job, but it's just because it's personal goals for myself to elevate me.
But I know a lot of BMEDs that are 17, 18 years in the industry that are like, no, I'm not going to get my CBET. I'm not going to do all this stuff because it's not going to help me. It's not going to, impact me in any way. And I'm not going to get it. And it's like, I get that.
I could sympathize with that.
Yeah, and we all can. But the reality is that we all need to be advocates for pushing for that system and being involved and helping implement whatever that is, because I do think there needs to be some kind of formal accreditation, not AMI. But I think AMI is right now the only boat that's going to help us get to wherever that's going to be.
I think they're not even what I would call a necessary evil. Amy has a good plan. I mean, obviously, I don't agree with everything they do and whatnot, but I think they've implemented things better than anybody else. And I am a strong advocate for state certification. And the reason being is here in Texas, there's going to be different things I should know than if I were to work in Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, Colorado, if you think about it, the physics are different working at altitude than working here. You're going to have different problems in Michigan, where I grew up, than working in Texas. Just because of the cold, you got to worry about freezing pipes. You got to worry about salt and alkalinity. You have to worry about fresh water versus salt water. There's no salt water in Michigan. However, these are things that you have to worry about. And they're things that affect healthcare dramatically. And I mean, if you live in drier climates like Arizona, you're going to focus more on things like, having dry air and the fact that you got to have, skin preparations and stuff. And these are things that biomed should know, because half of our job is diagnosing the problem with the patient. I mean, we fix people too. And we have to diagnose med staff how they are diagnosing the patient. And the fact of the matter is usually they're doing it wrong. So we have to know that. I do strongly believe that the state should say, hey, if you want to do this type of job in this state, I mean, I'm a very strong constitutionalist. In other words, like, every state is a separate country, right? So if you want this, more power to you. If I don't agree with that, I can move to another state, a separate miniature country, and that's how our system was designed. And maybe today it should be true, because think about it. For our career field, there's different logistics concerns. There's different physical concerns, like physics are different in state to state, whether or not you're at sea level or if you're at altitude, whether or not you're in a salt condition, whether or not you're on, fresh water. There's just many things to consider. If you're on the East Coast, maybe you should know European wiring codes versus California. You know, because you get a lot of like German stuff and whatnot on the East Coast. Some places
Terrain
that's not the
supplied, all of it factors in.
yeah. So, I
Um,
mean, I think the states need to implement their own thing. And I would 100% stand behind it. If the state of Texas said, we want
I'd be
this.
for that. So how do we do it?
That's a good question. So a lot of Congress members, one of the things that I realized when I went and talked to some, and the ones that I've written since then, a lot of them, God, I don't want to say something derogative. A lot of them
Care
are,
unless it's going to benefit them.
they're not as smart as you think they are. Okay?
Well, no, of course not.
Your Congress people are not as smart as they think they are. How many of you guys have been around? Everybody thinks like doctors and lawyers are the geniuses of the world. You really think that? You really think that doctors are geniuses? Anybody that's worked around a lot of doctors has walked into a what the hell situation where they're like taping something to the floor, or they completely miss the fact that it's got a power switch. We have all done that. All right. So if you think that doctors are absolute geniuses, you got a problem. All right. So, but
Well, they train to be geniuses of the body.
their thing, right? But outside,
But they try everything outside of it, including medical devices. I've had it multiple times. They tried to.
We hope that they're subject matter experts on whatever their degree is in. That's why they, have the bar.
My problem, I think, of what Justin was alluding to was that they try to be subject matter experts in our field.
yes. To which, I mean, just to be honest, we have to kind of, as we progress through biomed, also be subject matter experts in their field. You have to, as you progress, your skills and your knowledge of physiology, anatomy, clinical applications, that's going to improve. It needs to improve for you to be a better technician. And if you're not, if you're one of these guys where, oh, I know electronics, good for you. That gets you this much of the job. Understanding how they use the equipment on patients, that's a very large portion of our job.
You hit a sore spot for me right now. So, like I alluded to, I am studying for the CBET. Why the fuck are we still doing schematics and resistors and stuff like that on the test?
No, resistor, that's stupid.
I understand that it makes sense to have biomeds go through that in training so that they understand how stuff works, but I don't think we need to have that on the CBET test. Just personally, because I haven't had to replace a fucking resistor in 15 years.
You're exactly right.
So my theory on that is that Amy is so far disconnected from what people are really doing that they don't know they need to take that out of the test.
But you know what? They were so quick. They were so quick to add in networking stuff.
Really?
What is RAM? what is troubleshooting IP address, all this stuff? Like they want to be ahead of the time in regards to like talking about cybersecurity and network compatibilities and shit like that, but they still haven't updated the antiquated parts. And I know this for a fact because I've purchased their study guide for the CBET.
Really?
And it's still got the same old shit.
Yeah.
From when I took, because I took the CBET 2011, and a lot of the stuff I'm seeing on there is basically the same stuff. And the only reason I'm retaking it is because I took it in 2011 and I failed the bitch by like 3 questions. And I was so angry and young. I was like, fuck this. I'm not taking it again. This is stupid. But now I'm in the position
by 1 question.
Yeah. Now I'm in the position like I just need to get it done. And the only part of this test that I'm concerned about is the electronics part, because I have not had to do, singular electronics replacement on anything in over a decade.
You're not wrong. I question them whether or not it was going to have European wiring codes on there, because half of the medical devices out there have European wiring codes. In other words, what's the blue, the brown, and the green? if you are checking wiring or you're putting a new plug end on, you better know what the brown is. You better know what the blue is. Okay?
They'll know
You
after
better
the
know.
fact.
You better know. And in fact, you should
That's the
know.
spark wire.
You should know a NEMA plug, what connects to what terminal on a NEMA plug. You should know that. That should be on the test.
Why is one of the prongs silver?
Yeah, which one's brass? I mean, that's just it. That stuff needs to be on there because that is the difference between a Biomed 1 and a Biomed 3. If I go
all
up to
I
a
saw
Biomed
on
3
there
and I say
is-
a brown, what's the brown wire? You should tell me instantly that it's a hot wire. You should just
No,
know
that's-
that.
That's the
So-
smoke wire. That's what the
So
smoke.
on the study material, at least from what I've gone through so far, they do have the North American and they did mention the European wiring codes.
Good.
So blue, brown, yellow, red, black, green, white.
You going
Those
through
are
the
on
whole
there.
rainbow?
But I mean, it is good seeing that there are several directors and hospitals and third parties that are on the Amy board that are giving some input. I just don't know if Amy's actually listening to their feedback, honestly.
So here's another thing that Justin, I'm just going to assume you agree with me because we agree on a lot of things. I actually applied to be on the board on one of the Amy boards.
Yes, so did I.
It was about 6 months in after I first started Bearded Biomed, and it was hot. Everybody was like, "Oh, who's this guy with the great beard?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Justin," because they kept calling Justin Bearded Biomed. But yeah, I applied, and at the time, I didn't have a certification. Which after the fact, I found out that they're pretty much not going to even give you a light of day without a certification.
Yes, that's true.
Which they will accredit to. We get so many applications to apply for our boards that we can't possibly.
Trust me. Matter of fact, I still have the emails. But I mean, the thing is, one of the things that, because I've applied for a couple years to be on that board, and I understand that there are some people that are way more qualified than me. But the one thing that I brought to the picture is that if there are certain things that they were going to be discussing as the board, I could present that to my audience, which is a very good slice of our entire career field. And I could bring that feedback back to the board.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that I would venture to say that very few other people could do.
You have a pool of literal, a large chunk, a census that you can reference off of that is literally not being utilized. And I would assume, and again, this is an assumption, but the people that are on these board positions, they are mostly in the position of C-suite or higher level echelon positions to where they are no longer ingrained into the day-and-day monotony of biomedding.
Right.
So,
I mean, I've met a lot of these people. We're guys.
Oh, I know a lot of people.
The people that are watching this, we're not bringing anybody down like that.
I am friends with a lot of them.
The thing is he's not wrong. And earlier in this cast, I said that people buy into what they relate to. And one of the most essential things to do as a manager or as an executive is to relate to the people that are actually doing the work. You can't just be an executive looking down at them, telling them what to do. You have to be in the trenches with them to know what's going on. That doesn't mean you have to be there every day fixing things. But like Chase alluded to earlier, he goes, when he's doing his reviews of people, he goes on site with them and helps them do work and stuff. That way there, you have that relationship to which now you can exchange information on a more even basis. That includes some of the things that they're talking about on these boards. These boards, whether or not anybody wants to admit it, affect us well into the future. So the things that they're discussing, Amy is a very powerful organization, and there are some geniuses on there. But you can be an incredible genius. But the fact of the matter is, together, as a community, we're smarter. We're always going to be smarter. We're going to have more experience. So if they say like, oh, I think we should implement a journeyman system, well, I could pose that question to the community and then, you know, have them give their input. Why should we? Why should we not?
Well, if you were to pose that question, they are going to ask you to have a fully laid out plan beforehand.
Okay. I could do that.
And I will nowhere say that they have not accomplished anything or not done great work. I'm just saying that there needs to be a level of presence and accountability within these groups, within these meetings, that showcase the voice of the biomeds that are entering the field, the biomeds that maybe been around a few years, or maybe us or lower.
Representative of the people. Yes.
Representative of the full census of the biomed community.
That's a good point.
So one of the things that I was thinking about with Amy is that they're getting feedback from the C-level suites, the high-end people and all that, because those are the people that give them that power, right? Those are the people that buy into their system and let them implement the CBET and all their training.
Okay, but is Amy's purpose to empower those C-suite communities, or is their purpose to empower the people that they're looking to certify?
So that's actually where I was trying to lead to, is that they're focusing on the now, keeping them happy and doing all the things for them, and that they're not focusing on the next tier, which is basically going to grow up into that space.
Status quo.
Exactly. But correct me if I'm wrong, that's why they brought Danielle in.
You're right.
To try to relate to that next tier, do a lot of those things. She's one of the people that I've been trying to link up with for
And Danielle's
years.
doing so much, but Danielle's one woman. She only can do so much. And the actual HTM department at Amy is literally a handful of people or smaller. Danielle does not have the force within the actual HTM department at Amy to facilitate a lot of things we need. You have the board positions, but like full-time employee for Amy, it's Danielle and maybe a couple people.
Interesting. Now, you guys brought up some good points. Danielle has already made some major changes. She has been a guiding light for an organization that was run by mainly C-suite people. She is a person of the people. I'll get that. She's incredibly smart. If you ever have the opportunity to reach out to Danielle and talk with her at one of these events, she is a fantastic person. And the thing is she has reached out to many of us about input for going forward. And I think Amy is on the right foot. I mean, you have to imagine a lot of Amy is a lot of older people that have been in the career field 30, 40 years. You know, like you already mentioned, a lot of executives. But at the same time, they know they, as an organization, have to transition. And that's why they've reached out to many of us. I know they've reached out to you too, Chase. And so I'm going to play devil advocate here, and I'm going to put it out there that Amy is an organization that is also starting to change. And they have done a lot of good things. Now, I know I've given them some harsh criticism because I think re-upping your CBET or your CHTM or whatever every 3 years is absolute garbage. I am one of the most vocal people about that. I think every 3 years, what changes in 3 years? Not much. Let's do it 5 years. Let's do 5 years.
The requirements to renege your certification, if you were to put it in a most simplistic way, is ensuring that you are continuing to add to your tool belt.
Okay.
Whether it's continuing education, going and being a part of HTM society events, going to conferences, expositions, to go through continue learning, networking, whatever, which I'm in full agreement. I wish more younger technicians would get involved with this stuff. But every 3 years,
I agree with you, Justin.
It's
think
not,
about it. The average
it's not that
biomed,
it's not doable, but every 3 years is kind of like.
If you work 30 years in this career field, that means you re-up 10 times.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's crazy. Because do you need to prove, if you've been doing this for 30 years, do you really need to prove that you're certified like 10 times? I don't believe so.
Ask the same question. Somebody that's been in the career field, let's say, us 15, 20, 30 years. Do they need a CBET to prove that they're a capable and, well-rounded technician? No, they absolutely don't. But the matter of fact is that's the pay-to-play status quo.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that get their CBET and they don't renew it because they say, what are they going to do, take it away from me? I'm like, well, you won't be on the database.
Right.
They're like, screw it. Nobody looks there anyways. I'm like,
That's
I know
true.
some hiring managers that do.
No, they do look. They look.
But they're like, what, am I just not qualified now? I've got all the things to be able to take the test, study, took the test, passed the test, did all this stuff. I'm not going to give them my credit card and in order to renew it. And they keep putting it on there.
I mean, you can go the devil advocate route as well as what Justin said is they do that so that they can keep the doors open so they can continue to fund the projects.
Right.
But, for instance, like let's say the HTM gray areas report that I actually did an interview with Danielle about, that to gain access to the information in that report, I believe is $20 or $30 one-time payment.
Really? What is that report? I don't know about that one.
So basically there was a long-winded third-party outreach survey of compiling across the United States of multiple facilities, and it breaks down the level of responsibility for facilities, biomed, clinician, of different types of devices within a medical facility. So, for instance, medical gas. That can be both facilities and biomed. Network configuration of, IP database, PAC system, stuff like that. Biomed and IT. And what that report does is basically it lists all different kinds of modalities and it gives you a percentage of responsibility. It's actually a pretty cool report. If you want it, I actually got a copy. I can send it to you.
So in the comments, dental equipment repair channel, Mr. Jason says, you renew your driver's license every 4 years, not unreasonable. Actually, no, it's not every 4 years. It depends state to state. Here in Texas, it's what? Is it 5 or 6 years? It's 10 years? I don't have my wallet on me. I just checked. I know it's a long time because I showed up here 4 years ago in Texas, and I don't have to renew my license for a minute.
Oh, mine says 9.
Okay. So it depends state to state. But again, if your state determines that this is what we want, they could make you re-up every year. More power to them. That's a state-by-state thing.
POS asks, what is that report? It is called the HTM Gray Areas Report.
Interesting.
And it literally lists off damn near every kind of modality that you will find in a hospital, even different kinds of systems in a facility. And you'll see like IT department, biomed department, and facilities. And it breaks down kind of like a percentage based upon like it surveyed all the facilities across the United States and asked them, what is your facility doing? What areas of responsibility are taking on these projects? It's an interesting report. I thought it was pretty cool, but again, $20, $30 for every type of publication on Amy.
Yeah,
there's goods and bads with that, but
yeah. I mean, as a biomed manager, I could see stuff like that as being beneficial. I don't know. Maybe I would push more towards like a membership, and you just get everything as a member. But anyway,
yes. If you are a member, all the publication stuff's free.
And I get some of that stuff. I don't want to like segue into something else, but we've talked about some really good stuff here, and I think I'm going to change things up a little bit. Now I would like to have everybody talk about some stories because
I want to hear a story from Adrian because he tells good stories.
Yeah, Adrian, you have walked into this completely blindfolded. What is some of the crazy stuff that you have seen in this career field already? Good or bad? Whatever.
This is kind of go back to we were talking about earlier about younger employees and their work ethic. The the meaning behind work ethic is what I embody. And when you have had an employee who you've told multiple times to make sure you come in on time, and you don't have any PTO, so don't be calling in sick because then it's going to go unpaid. So you want to give them another chance because they booked a trip, and you're like, okay, well, by my nature, I was like, okay, go ahead and take your trip, but it's not gonna be paid because you don't have PTO, but we'll see you when you get back. He shows up like 5 hours late on the day he's supposed to be back. Let's just say he took a week off and he's supposed to be back Monday. Well, Monday, they didn't show up, and then it's like a noon, they walk in, and it's like, I'm sorry, you gotta go. And they didn't understand essentially what was happening, other than the fact that I had to explain, well, you're coming in late, we need you, and we need bodies here.
Yeah. The other thing too is that person over 4 months was late 9 times, unexcused.
Damn.
And that was the 9th time. And
Wow.
they didn't understand why they were being let go. They were like, I don't get it. Why?
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you guys have like paranoia even now? Like if you have like a meeting or something, don't you guys just naturally, most of you guys are military, that there's some sort of paranoia as you see that clock getting closer to the time that you agreed to meet? Don't you guys like say, oh my gosh, I'm almost late, or, oh, I got a half hour until this meeting? It's like ingrained into us that like, oh my gosh, this is like, it's a dead stop. Like I need to make it by this time. But so many people just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we thought we had to do that as a courtesy to his career so he could learn that lesson for future down the road. Because we didn't do it, nobody else would. And he would just keep doing it, and he might mess up. This may have been his golden ticket. And but you never know when his next golden ticket will come up. We don't want to ruin it. And it was funny is that guy had all the skill in the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
But his professionalism is what got him in trouble.
Think about it though.
Usually it's the ones with a plethora of skill that kind of go that route though.
It is. Yeah. That one was like, and we were all rooting for him too. We were like, come on, just get it together. Yeah. And it just, every time it's like, golly, come on, man.
At a certain point, they're taking advantage, though. I mean, you know damn well you're late, and
that's the weird part. I don't think he was. I just think he was completely ignorant and not knowing of the whole professional. You got to be at a place on time to do your job, and I'm like, dude, you got to get it together. Anywhere you go, you're gonna have this. You got to be where you got to be on time.
That is a quick way to piss me off. Is if a technician tells a client, I will be there at this time, and never shows up.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
yes.
That's bad.
That's really bad. As since we're all ISOs, independent service organizations, that is an absolute deal breaker. Like sometimes you can't even ever get that customer back. Like if you say I'll be there at this day, this time, and then you don't show up, like it's all about calling. Stuff comes up, right? Yeah. You always call the customer and tell them ahead of time, like, hey, sorry, this happened. I can't make it. Can I make it tomorrow morning? Or how about later on tonight or something? You always call the customer.
All right. Well, what about 4 hours after the scheduled time, you finally reach out to the client like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. How about tomorrow?
I'm a big believer that you can fix almost anything with communication.
Right.
And I think even if it's 4 hours after you call and say, hey, I'm so sorry, this happened, you still have to be truthful. Don't lie.
P. West said it's like getting stood up for a date.
Tell us more, P. West. I have a feeling there's a story here. It's true.
But, I think even at 4 hours after, you can call and try to communicate like, hey, this happened. I mean, they can still say no, pack sand, don't even show up, whatever. But, I mean, you know, like you were saying on interviews, like no call, no shows, just not
Jeez.
showing up. That's not okay. But this guy, like I said, he just like, we were rooting for him because he did his job so well whenever he did do it, but it just wouldn't happen.
You know what's
We were
crazy?
like,
Since all of us are on social media and whatnot, and all of us, like I said earlier in the show, is that everybody, you know, we know most of the people in this career field, you know, at least a lot of the players. If somebody goes from company to company, let's say somebody was working at my company and goes to your company or whatever, people talk, man. And that's, you know, I tell people all the time, your professionalism, it reflects on all of us together. Like, for one thing, since we're all ISOs, if somebody does something and they booger something up because they rig it, it looks bad on all of us, right? For one. For two, it makes your whole entire company look bad. I mean, you guys both work for bigger companies than me, and all it takes is one person to burn a customer, and now your company is completely not even qualified for, you know, working on their equipment anymore. I mean, and good luck getting that customer back, because now there's more competition out there in the field. Maybe they don't even do as good of a job. I mean, it's really kind of a crazy path. And I didn't really want to beat the dead horse about, you know, punctuality and stuff, but I'll tell you right now that we talk, all of us talk. And I've had people on the West Coast in California call me, hey, do you know this technician? I mean, I have notified you guys about technicians that I know of that burned me in the past and said, hey, watch out for this dude or watch out for that girl, because people have burned me before on job interviews or for customers or something, and we all talk. So one of the things I just want to point out there for everybody is be punctual and be professional, and do not burn a bridge with anybody in this career field. Anybody, even if it's a coworker. Jake, how many people, and Chase, how many people that you used to serve with in the military now are like in charge of companies or heading up hospitals or something? I mean, think about it. Imagine burning that bridge way back in the day.
Well, a lot of them you're just about to get out, but I know several, which it was so funny to find out you know Ramsey.
I know lots of people, man.
No, it was just, you know,
No,
it's so small, dude. Like everybody. Hell, I ran into somebody I went to AIT with at the last MD Expo. I hadn't seen him since AIT.
wow,
He's like, dude, I've been watching your channel.
that's
Good
awesome.
stuff. But I'm
oh
like,
yeah, I've got people from my AIT. Like I said, like that's why I'm not okay with the blacklist that Chase wants. Like, when I say I was a knucklehead at 18, I was a knucklehead. And
I just
Army.
and man,
maybe blacklist isn't the right word. I wish there was more levels of accountability that we held to everybody else to.
Yeah.
My battle buddy in AIT, Dwayne Jackson. Now, he wasn't a knucklehead. He was a straight shooter back then, but I always knew he was going to be great. Now he's a big director at a children's hospital in San Fran area, and I'm not surprised at all that what he's accomplished so quickly in his career. I mean, it's just, there's people that it's just hard to believe that, you know, we were PFCs just jacking everything up, and now they're like first sergeants and chiefs and, you know, E7s and everything else. And I'm like, man, you know, like, but yeah, it is. I remember the chief that I ran into in Iraq. You know, he's retired now, and he works for for the USLA, Chief Burris. He's touring the world now, playing golf and helping the biomed community at the same time.
Well, guys, I just want to close out with one more segue. So I go around and I speak to a lot of colleges and stuff, right? And one of the things I've been telling people at the colleges is that when you go and you sign up for any skilled trade, you are signing up for a lifelong commitment of dedication and giving back. And that means, like, even if you're an old geezer way out there, how many guys out there are 20 years past retired and they're still going to biomed shows and stuff, right? They're
Yeah.
a wealth of knowledge. These guys are still geniuses. They're still giving back, right? They still go to high schools and talk to people and stuff. The thing is we're a skilled trade. And skilled trades, people, they invest time, energy, and money into every one of you. Every one of us have had mentors that dedicated themselves to improving us and our lives. And when you sign up for a skilled trade, I'm a firm believer that is a lifelong commitment to giving back. And I tell people that when I go to colleges. And I want to see what you guys think about that. And that means your local HTMA events, your local biomed associations. Chase, Jake, I know you guys have both like written articles and stuff. I mean, there's so many ways to contribute. Obviously, social media is just one small piece of the pie, but there's so many ways that you can give back. You can even train people locally, which means, hey, I went to the OEM, I was trained on this device. Now I'm responsible for training the next guy, the new guy, right? So, I mean, I'm very, very firm on this, that when you go into any career field that is a skilled trade, you are committing yourself to giving back. What do you guys think? That bad, huh?
No, I was trying to let them speak.
I think Jake and obviously Chase have more to say about this particular subject because they've been in
I'm your
the
huckleberry.
so long, but yeah.
I like that.
A little Tombstone reference never hurt anybody. So I would agree with you. It's harder for people entering the field, I guess, to give back the same way that people in our positions can. But there's still stuff that you can do in regards to networking, outreach, you know, something as simple as sharing maybe a difficult repair or maybe a life lesson you gained from a service call or a PM or something you had done during your workday, which social media has allowed us to do.
Right.
And social media has played such a vital role in elevating and voicing our field that has never been to, you know, the platform that we have now. So at some point level, there's an ability for anybody at any level to engage, promote, communicate, network, assist anybody within our field in any monicum to just kind of make things better for everybody. Now, folks within our positions and higher, it's even more so an obligation that not only do you need to build up and create that level of communication and camaraderie, but we need to empower the younger technicians. We need to set them up for success, elevate them, give them the tools that we wish we would have had when we first started. And those tools have, you know, become even more successful at getting stuff done than, you know, what we could have ever dreamed of. I would have never thought that anything of what we currently experience now within our profession was even possible when I first got into the field.
Right.
Just because there was no such thing.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so much and even so little that people could do that I think a lot of people just want to go through the job, do the day-to-day, call it a day. Hey, I did my part. And at some point you're doing your part in providing a biomed service and making sure patient safety is there, etc. But the obligation to make sure that we are well equipped within our field, that way you have somebody to take up the mantle when you leave.
Yeah.
Jake, I have already applied to a position at the HTMA, or, you know, to be the social media person
Awesome.
for the organization.
So both you guys are exactly right. I would just break it down into basically where you are in your profession, in your career, that there's certain expectations that you can do. Whether you're starting out, sometimes just being there in the room, learning, listening to other people's conversations, looking at people hiring you, seeing how they're conducting themselves, to I feel like we're middle level in our career now, and we're trying to get more active and be more involved and do things to even the people ahead of us. I mean, I see David Broadingham as one of those people that I look at. Really, I just look at how he conducts himself in conversations and meetings and everything else. And I look at his mannerisms, his body language, and how he communicates and relates to people. Those are the things that I think that it just really depends on where you're in your career, on what you can do and what you can expect to get out of it and what you can do to be a part of it. Because like I said, even as these new people, sometimes just going to the meetings and being in the room is all you can do, but that's a lot at the same time. Because your time will come whenever you are transitioning from the entry level to middle level. And, I'm going in blind because we don't really have an organization that really does that stuff. So I'm kind of writing the tone moving forward. And kind of what I've been doing now is I'm like, Chase, hey man, I need to get you in. I need to get more involved, this and that, and get more people to show up because, we don't need 4 people doing 10 things. What we do need is we need 10 people doing 10 things, right? Or 10 people doing one thing. But, I just think that we've got to be more involved. We've got to find ways to just be professional. On a lot of these social media groups, there are a handful of people, we all know who they are, that are just negative Nancy all the time. They're just going to be negative. They're going to talk bad. Everything's how dare you and this and that. It's like, just ignore that stuff.
Yeah.
But I encourage them to find a way to say the same thing in a more professional, positive manner in order for it to get the attention that you want. Because at the end of the day, this is a professional career. It's a professional field, and we need to conduct ourselves that way. And just talking trash or bad about people or organizations and things like that, just because you agree with it, sometimes that's all you got to say is, I don't agree with it, with what I know. And just, I just think that just conduct yourself hold yourself to a higher standard. I mean, whether or not you think you're capable of it or not, I assure you, you are capable of it. You just need to push yourself.
I would completely agree. And everybody's conduct reflects on everybody else. I mean, as a career field, it's really that simple. Somebody that works for the OEM today will probably be ISO, independent business owner or something tomorrow. I mean, that's just it.
Somebody's always watching and always aware.
You're absolutely right. So, Jake,
so y'all whiling out there at those conventions, be aware.
Oh my God, guys! I had somebody come up to me at a bar. There's some. I have some stories. One dude came up to me and he said, "Yeah, I watched one of your videos and you were talking bad about ISOs," and he was like, "F that guy." And obviously he was intoxicated, but he came up to me and he said that to my face, and I said, "Well, I commend you for having the balls to say that to my face." But I mean, first off, I have like 900 videos out there. Which one are you talking about? Because something was out of context. But the thing is, I don't care if somebody wants to talk to me, but if they're being loud and boisterous and embarrassing, as a community, it would be very bad. So yes, when people are out there at these organization events, mind your manners. Even if you're intoxicated, Jesus, please mind your manners. Because again, people talk. But guys, we're at the end of the hour. Mr. Adrian, how would you like to give some closing remarks, sir, since you are the newest one to this career field, and you obviously have your eyes wide open. What do you see?
I don't know about closing arguments necessarily or closing remarks, but I'm just excited to be in the field, and I definitely appreciate the warm welcome from everyone. From MD Expo when we first met to the HTMA little bar visit that we had, and I would love to have more of those and definitely share some stories amongst like-minded people.
Absolutely, and we're gonna do some more videos coming up.
That sounds good.
Jesus, guys, I have some more videos that I have planned. I haven't even told these guys about them because I have a whole schedule of video productions that I want to put out there. And so, Jake, you're going to see more from the guys over at iMed, just like the Bearded Biomed. I've got several videos that I would love to do with him. Jake, closing arguments?
Just basically that, just keep your open mind. Challenge yourself in 1 or 2 ways a year. It could be something as simple as pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, and just set a goal and work towards it. I tell everybody gets off the horse. That happens. Don't beat yourself up for it. Just try to get back on the horse as quick as you can.
Right.
That's probably the only closing marks I could give as far as positive influence. You can apply that to anything in life, but I encourage you to apply that to your professional career.
Very true. And very solid advice. And one of the things I want people to know is that we are a community. I say that word a lot. If you're facing some hardship, if you're looking for a job, reach out to any one of us. I'll leave the social media information for each of my panelists in the video description down below. So go ahead and reach out to them. If you guys are watching this live stream, you should have Jake, Adrian, or Chase in your social media. Go to their LinkedIn, click connect, okay? Because like I said, people know things, and having people that know things in your network makes you much more powerful, okay? It's a tool in your toolbox. Every single one of us, we're here to help you. We might give you advice. We might know people in your city or your state that can help you find a job. Whatever it is, we're a community, and I'm very firm on that. So, Jake, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Mr. Chase, sir, how are you doing? And any closing remarks?
That escalated quickly.
Yes.
So, as always, I just appreciate you having me on, man. I always love doing stuff with you. Jake, Adrian, y'all are good people. Always gonna love having a convo with you guys. I think the main thing to take from this is just basically be involved, take what we do seriously, and constantly work to improve yourself and strive to make those around you better. And you will be successful. Other than that, which I'm probably going to make some kind of like announcement kind of thing going forward, but I am quickly approaching some really cool capstones for Bearded Biomed. December 2nd will be my 2-year anniversary, and I'm very close to hitting 500 subscribers on YouTube. But what I'm more excited about is, as we know, the show first originated audio only, and I'm about to hit 10,000 downloads over 55 countries.
Wow.
Nice.
That's so awesome.
Badass for me. So I'm going to do 2 things. First, when I hit 10,000 downloads on Spotify, Apple, whatever, just, people that listen to the show audibly, when I hit 500 YouTube subscribers, then I will get a Bearded Biomed tattoo.
Yes.
And it's going to go right next to my BMET tattoo, which I've had on my arm since the day after I graduated from the 68 Alpha Schoolhouse. So that is a challenge, or maybe a nudge that I would hope that you share the show, subscribe, or listen to help get me to those metrics before December 2nd, so I can show off my Bearded Biomed tattoo on a live stream I intend to do during the week of my 2-year anniversary, in which case I also plan to do some kind of giveaway and like live happy hour kind of deal, and just have like a fun, just shoot the shit, celebration of the field, I guess. So
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
that's a good plan, cool. Actually. That's a real good plan. Well, Chase,
you're only 12 subscribers away.
We're going to make it happen, man. We're going to make it happen. Trust me. We're going to make it happen.
I think it was like 487 on YouTube, and like the last count I did download wise was like 9,600. So I'm only, I'm really close to hitting both of those metrics.
Interesting. Well,
I already got the sign off from the wife, so I'm like, this tattoo's happening. So
that's a good idea, a tattoo. We're gonna make it happen, Chase. thanks for joining us, man. And I know you're trying to keep it down because your family is like sleeping. So
Yeah, the kids' room is literally right under my feet, which I did not plan that effectively, but you know, that's
not
fine.
at all. Well, guys, thank you very much for making it out. Guys, this was an excellent show. We're going to do more live streams. And if anything, maybe from the next larger event, we're going to do an actual sit down in person. So it's not going to be a Zoom. I would love to do an in person where we just sit down and do a round table, a proper one. And guys, thank you very much for joining me today. All of you guys, look down in the video description below. You're going to have information from iMed on their training programs. The Bearded Biomed, he's going to have his information down there. Let's make that happen so he can get his tattoo. And we're going to make it happen, Chase. We're going to make it happen.
Right.
I'm gonna make it painful for you. So, guys, thank you all for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. That way there, we can maybe do a follow-up video on content, because there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people wanted to talk about. And maybe I wanted to talk about it too, but that would make this a 3 or 4 hour long show. And I knew that we weren't going to have time. More so, this is to introduce you guys to these fellows in the career field so that maybe you can link up with them. Leave your questions down below. Okay, everybody? Yes,
Justin, I forgot one last thing. So something really cool as well. As we know, there is a children's biomed book that I wrote called Ollie the Biomed.
Yeah.
We are approaching almost 300 copies sold worldwide.
Nice.
And I've already almost donated at least 70 copies. So with this coming around Christmas time, if you guys have places that I can send or donate a book to, Children's Hospital, or, you know, where we can just kind of send some fun things to the kids, be sure to include those links to Justin, because I would love to send a copy of the book.
I'll put the link to the book in the video description down below. My kids love it, by the way. I've read it to them like 3 or 4 times. And now I've got a young one, and she is starting to like very colorful pictures and stuff. So
yeah,
now I'm going to be reading it to a whole new generation
during the holiday season. So like I said, anybody that knows of like a children's hospital or maybe a high school or middle school program that would like to have a copy, send Justin the info and we'll get that going.
Excellent.
Or you can just go to beardedbiomed.com and just message me on there directly and we'll get that going.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Everybody, thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. Guys, it's been a fantastic show. Look in the video description. Give me an hour or 2 to put all that info up there. But guys, this has been fantastic. Stay tuned. We're going to do another live stream in maybe a week or 2. And we're going to have a more interesting panel. We're going to have lots of very fiery questions. And I don't know. Let me know if you guys like these live stream formats. They're not really planned out too well. And that's by design, because it's an organic conversation and you guys are part of it. So thank you all for watching.
No cooking necessary, no assembly required.
Thank you for
Alrighty,
that.
guys. Y'all have a good one.
Guys.
Thanks, guys.